Hello guys, welcome to my world of programming. My name is Tumitadi and welcome. So today we'll be talking about the best practice of building a database in .NET environment, right? Before we go there, I just want to tell you about this channel that I own. Do you understand? I own this channel. You can check all other amazing videos I've made in my previous system, and you can also check the current channel where I'm uploading this content to. Do you understand? I know you may be watching this from socials, but just know that I have YouTube dedicated for this, right? So if you want to learn programming, I'm here to teach you what I know, what I've built in my systems, right? Particularly database. What are the best practices? Now, if this is the very first video of mine that you're bumping into, I've made about a 4-part series of database from part 1 all the way to part 4. But this one, I feel like it's very important to talk about the best practices. What are my best practices, right? Number 1, you want to isolate the project to be independent away from the web API or the MVC. You want to have a database as independent. That's number 1. Number 2, you want to create a proper folder structure such as identity and tables. You're going to get migrations by default, so don't worry about that one. So in identity, I want you to keep this class as it is. This class. Application DB context. I want you to keep it as it is. This is very important and I'll show you in a second. Number 2, I want you now to override, in fact extend what identity user is all about by creating your own custom class called application user. So this class extends whatever properties that making up the user. So that's number 2. Then number 3, when it comes to tables, I want you to group them based on similarities. If things are just general, just drop them in general. But if you're going to have something like referrals, like the person who creates a referral, the person who uses the referral, make sure that you group them under a folder called referrals, right? Okay, so each and every class, you most probably gonna see something like this. We call this required attribute. This is very important. In all your properties, while you're coding, they're called properties, but in a database they're called columns. Please ensure that you protect them using required attribute. You might be wondering, why is it that I did not have a focus area as required? There's a reason for it, unfortunately. Right. Another best practice when it comes to application DB context, it's having to override the default table names. Mine, they start with LHT, then you will see underscore something. So these are default identity tables. So this is what I recommend that you keep them as it is, right? Then it comes to the actual class names or table names. For example, feedbacks. This is a class, but in a database itself, it is a table. Whatever the name of a table you want in a database, make sure that it becomes the name of a class. So what do I mean? In application DB context, when you're registering them, like feedbacks, here it is. Just make sure that this property takes after the name of the class. The name of the property, name of the class. Let's go and look at trials. The name of the property, name of the class. So again, let's go back to feedbacks. What I recommend is that do not forget that the first property should be a primary key. I want you to get into the habit of that. So you would denote that as saying this will have attribute called key, right? And then even if it's a primary key, still make sure that it's required. I know even if it's a go wait has its own default. I understand that, right? The boolean has a default, right? The datetime has its own default. Integer has its own default. But I want you to remember this. This is very important, right? Then let's quickly jump to migrations. When it comes to migrations, please make sure that you rename your migrations like someone who has a common sense, right? For example, Let's look at, let's see, edit news feed table. Let's look at this. You see the name says edit news feed table, right? So this is what I did. And then when I did that, you see it already knows that this column is not going to be nullable. So this is how powerful it is to make sure that you decorate your properties with required attributes. Even if you are adding just a column, let me make an example. Example will be, there we go. Let's use this one. Here I said edit thumbnail underscore path. So this is the name of the property, thumbnail underscore path, and I say it's a column to videos table. So you see our specific, and there it shows there's the name of a column, right? Is it nullable? No. You understand? So this is my best practice. So let's go to relationship of one to many. What do I have in there? So let's close this. Let's quickly go to tips, and let's look at the tags. So like I said, the first column or the first property, make sure it's a primary key, and then along the way just make sure that this becomes a foreign key, right? So meaning that this guy is a foreign key of a class called topics. But when you do that, please make sure that this becomes the correct name of the class. This is very important. Another reason why this is important, you're going to have to learn to use the navigation properties. Navigation properties are a powerful thing, right? Powerful thing. One of the reasons is this. Let me show you with MVC, and then let me show you with the views, and then let's go to tags, index. So one of the things is this. When I search, I can search the name of the topic, but you see it's pulling from where? Topics. So this topics.topic name essentially comes from this navigation property. So make sure that whatever it is here, you can be able to recall. So let me quickly make an example. When I search, let's quickly go there. I just want to show you how all these pieces, they come together. Let's give it a couple of seconds. Come on, there we go. So let's go to tags. So these are my system's tags, right? Now, one of the things that I want you to pay attention to, apologies, I have multiple devices connected to my network, but okay, I can search based on the name of the tag. Based on what I said here, I can search based on the name of the tag. Let's say money. If I search money and hit enter, you see money, giving money to hash money, and money. But what if I also want to search based on their topic name, right? Let's make an example of code. Let's say code. It's fine, COD, and hit enter. You see, we don't see anything that starts with COD or has COD. Instead, we see the name of the topic that contains a COD, which is code 8, code 10, and code 14. So this is one of the best practice that I will recommend when it comes to naming your classes and naming your properties. And these are navigation properties. Like this is something that you use in order to access something, right? So I mentioned, let's go to services quickly. Services. Let's focus on the tags. It's fine. Here I want to show you that application DB context, you want to always remember that this is the guy that you use to talk to a database. You say database, I want you to go to a table called tags. Like I said, the name of the class, the name of the property. Do not mix and match them. You're gonna get yourself confused, right? And one of the things is this one. You see that navigation property here? Public visual topics, right? Make sure that they are the same. It's because it's easy for you to say include X such as X topics. Then you remember quickly that there is a table called topics. You understand? So like I said, I can teach you all of this, how I build a database, and then what I recommend as the best practices for only 25 Rand, Monday to Friday for an hour, 8 p.m. until 9 p.m. I will leave my numbers. If you're interested, holler at me.